2025. The invocation will be provided by Waterville Baptist Church Pastor Rodney Bice. Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Denny Collins. Please stand.
All right, thank you. Pray with me. Gracious Heavenly Father, what a blessing it is to have another day, a new day of life, and to see, God, your handiwork. And I ask God today, as the Word of God tells us, that wisdom comes from above. So I pray for each one this morning that they would have the wisdom of God upon them as they make decisions for our county. Pray, God, that they have great discussions and great insight given by the wisdom of God as well. And that, Father, our county would be blessed because of the decisions that are made today by those who are serving us. So, God, you bless them today. Fill this place, Lord, with your presence. We would ask it today in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to the roll call, please.
Gilbert.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Goins.
Here.
Slater.
Here.
Mason.
Here.
Ledford.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Winters.
Here.
Beatty.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
Alford.
Here.
Cry.
Here.
Blake.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
It's 14 present and none absent.
Thank you very much. We'll now ask for a motion on the approval of the minutes. Second. Any discussion? Being no discussion, call the roll, please.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
Beatty.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. We'll now go to the county mayor for the mayor's report. Mayor Davis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. Nothing to report today unless someone has something.
Anyone have anything? Thank you. We'll now go to the consent agenda. See pages 3 through 33. Any make a motion? Second. Second from Commissioner Alford. Open for discussion. Being no discussion, call the roll, please.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
Beatty.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yeah. Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. We'll now go to the report from committees and our districts. We'll start on our right-hand side. Commissioner Beatty, please.
I have nothing to report today.
Okay. Commissioner Hughes,
Chairman, I have nothing today.
Commissioner Alford,
Second district's doing well, thank you.
Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Third District's doing well, but I would like to welcome former Commissioner Charlotte Peak and Dennis Epperson to the commission. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Collins.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick word of condolences to the family of Dwayne Williams. I think Commissioner Rogers will speak to this a little bit, but Dwayne passed away after a hard-fought battle. He was a great man and somebody that you met immediately and knew that his heart was in the right place, and he was a servant and somebody that loved people. He'll be missed, and thoughts and prayers out to his family. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Winters.
None from South District. Fine.
Commissioner Gilbert.
Yes, after 6 months, Miss Houston sent us a picture and said, "Thank you so much for the fire hydrant and for the letter that we wrote, Ocoee Utilities." And I'd like to thank Ocoee Utilities for actually getting out there and doing it. I mean, it was very, very much needed, and just thanks to everybody for the good job that they did. That's all for me.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson, please.
All I got is cold. That's all I got.
Commissioner Goins.
Fifth District's code as well, and that's all I have.
Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Bradley County Schools Road Show scheduled for January 22nd at Charleston STEAM Academy has been rescheduled to January 29th at 9 a.m. That's all I have today.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Chairman. Everything's well on the 6th.
Commissioner Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Went to the fire banquet Friday night. Want to congratulate all those guys for their awards and their service. One of their long-standing employees, Don Cross, I want to send prayers up for him. He's been with them for like 50 years. He's not doing really well. And watched a little bit of the inauguration last night. Go MAGA. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Rogers, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Thompson, did you say cold or coal? I didn't. I thought you said coal. I thought you were telling us what you got for Christmas. Sorry. Yes, sir. No, I too, with a bunch of the commissioners here, went to the fire banquet last week, and it was fantastic. And I know the mayor was there as well, and really just a great opportunity every year to sit there and hear the stories and about the different calls that they made throughout the year, and really Dewey Woody sat there and he talked about how we all, as the 14 commissioners and also the mayor, should be very, very proud of our fire department, and that our fire department here in Bradley County sets the standard for the rest of the state. And I know all of us up here are very proud of them and Chief Stewart and what they are doing each and every day for our community. Commissioner Collins is right. I do want to mention a little bit about Dwayne Williams. A lot of times when somebody who is a pillar of our community passes away, someone up here recognizes them, and I thank Commissioner Collins for recognizing Dwayne, and because Dwayne was, whether it was during the tornadoes that have happened, or whether it was during bad weather or traffic accidents or school events or supporting local events here in the community, Dwayne was always there, and was a part of the WCLE Mix 104 and ESPN family that I have somehow, some way become a part of, and I'm thankful to have known Dwayne. Dwayne was one of my dearest friends, and will always be one of my dearest friends. And he was one of the kindest people that you'd ever meet, and he loved God and he loved his family, but he really loved this community. And this Friday from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, we will have a 2-hour show on Mix, on the radio and on TV, in honor of Dwayne, and we will be telling stories and talking. And I encourage everyone in Bradley County who's been touched by Dwayne over the past 15 years and even longer, to listen in and to take part. And his memorial service will be this Sunday. They'll take visitors from 2 to 4, and the celebration of life service will be after that. And Dwayne was a big supporter of Bradley County schools and Cleveland City schools and Parks and Rec and everything else. And he was a really great man, and he's going to be very, 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 very missed. So that's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Before you move on, since someone was talking about the fire department, I'd like to read a thing I got. Some of you met him, but the guy that works with the state was there Friday night at that banquet. He sent this email out. He said, "After Friday night's awards banquet, I wanted to express how proud I am of the Bradley County Fire Department. They're truly a professional organization, and I use Bradley County as an example, as a model for this state. I wanted to share this news article, which the article he shared was one when we first created the fire department. He says, they've come a long way. I never dreamed they would be where they are today. By the way, in my opinion, you have the perfect fire chief. The respect and admiration I saw on that stage, I have never seen anywhere across the state." Excuse me. He said, "Thank you for the invitation to the banquet, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks in Nashville." But I just thought that was interesting coming from the state. As I said Friday night, I brag on Bradley County Fire all across the state, and people are always asking how we do a fire department here in Bradley County. They hear about us, but that is coming from the state guy that happened to be there Friday night. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now ask for motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Winters on the motion, second by Commissioner Thompson. Open for discussion. Being no discussion, call the roll, please.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes. Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
We'll move along to agenda item A, Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Education Committee voted to recommend submitting a letter opposing the Education Freedom Act of 2025 to our Bradley County Legislative Delegation and at the request of Dr. Cash, the State Education Committee members. The letter states that the commission voted unanimously. However, the word unanimously will be deleted should the motion pass with opposition. I place this recommendation in the form of a motion.
Do I have a second? So make a second is Commissioner Goins. Open for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one question. Commissioner Slater, has the bills from the Senate, the House, the governor, have they been released yet for us to be able to see them?
They have not. They will be released the week of January 27th, I believe, but when the Education Committee met last week, the Bradley County Board of Education has already submitted a letter, and we were asked to also submit a letter in support of opposition to the Education Freedom Act of 2025.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Gilbert, Thompson,
Yes.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers,
Pass.
Winters,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes,
We're pass on it for now.
Alford,
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? It's 12 in favor, none opposed, and 2 pass.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to agenda item B. Commissioner Slater.
Should go into a public hearing and hear what others may have to say for or against this.
Okay, let's see, was Mr. Bentley Thomas going to speak? Okay, we'll now go into a public hearing on the potential amendments to the urban growth boundary. Is there anyone here to speak for or against any changes? Yes, please.
I wouldn't say for or against, but what I would say is that as City of Cleveland expands, the only thing I've noticed over many years, both working for the county, private citizen, when the city annexes areas in the county, sometimes we have parts of the county serviced areas that are landlocked by the city. So they surround an area, or they annex a piece of land and don't take in the road, which leads to just some confusion amongst emergency responders on whose responsibility it is. Wreck in the road and travel off the roadway, whose trash is it to various things like that. I'd just love to see something, I don't know if it can go in conjunction with this or in the future, where as we expand, just make sure that not having pockets that are an island within the city limits that aren't serviced in the city, and that if they take a piece, that's my personal.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, please.
Chairman Cry, my name is Blake Allison with Epperson Allison Homes. Apologize, and with the Aquia Region Builders Association. Apologize for my appearance here. We have cold weather out there in the construction world, and the toboggan has left the hair a little bit crazy. So thank you for taking time to listen. I'll be brief. I know you guys are incredibly busy and have a lot going on. Regarding the urban growth boundary plan, I think it could be an excellent opportunity to coordinate and also just collaborate with some of our partners in the area, that the city and Charleston being included. Last I looked, I believe it was updated in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, roughly 15 years ago. I've sat on the Cleveland City Planning Commission for 5 years, and I do not speak for everyone there whatsoever, just myself personally. Any sort of tool that we have in the tool belt to be able to draw a boundary somewhere in the sand, whether it's right or wrong, helps in the planning process. It certainly does. So if that means shrinking it in one area, growing it in another, really coming to the table with our plan best set forward, what helps the county can help the city, and we can work in conjunction with each other to make this a lot better process. Obviously, you guys are more well versed in this than myself, but this plan is not necessarily an annexation tool, although it's been seen as that. There are 3 ways to annex. You guys are all fully aware of that. And frankly, personally, I voted against a lot of the annexation that's coming off of forever away out of the boundaries. I understand the islands and everything else, and it is not a perfect plan, and we have not done a phenomenal job in areas that we can improve upon. But I think if we can get together, we can truly help one another out. If you're a resident of the city, that does not mean you're not a resident or a constituent of the county, right? So if there's a paving project that's done off of Buck's Pocket, who pays for the paving project out in the county? Well, county residents do, right? So if you're a county resident, and you live in the city as well, you help pay for that unincorporated paving project. Now, if there's Paul Huff Parkway that needs, that's a state route. If there's a city road that needs paved, who pays for that? Well, city residents pay for that, right? County residents, they don't necessarily pay for that, but they do travel on those roads. So we at the city, we're tied in with the county just as much as you guys are tied in with us. I think it'd be a phenomenal opportunity to really grow in a planned manner instead of chaos, kind of like what we've had in the past couple of years. Lastly, I'll leave you with this plan is going to probably follow sewer. We all know that sewer is going to be the catalyst for growth in certain areas. So when you say only X amount of % has been annexed or taken in by the city within the current growth boundary, it's all related to utility service, right? A developer or an industry is not going to go where they don't have a place for their waste to leave, right? So that's going to be the catalyst, and I think that needs to be the driving force behind where this annexation needs to happen, or excuse me, this boundary plan needs to happen. We also have a great opportunity, and I think Doug Barry's done a phenomenal job. I think you guys would agree with attracting industry to this county. There's so many rooftops that are needed because of the industry and all the jobs that are coming to this county, and many of which you guys have been integral in here on this body of bringing those people in, and I commend you for that. With industry, though, comes rooftops. With rooftops comes planning, right? We have so many rooftops that have come into the city of Cleveland. I believe we're at like 450 some building permits in 2024. Previous years, our highs were in the 100, Mylan may know this, 180 range of the building permits. I had Josh Rogers send me the last 7 years of building permits, and it's unbelievable the growth that we're seeing. So a plan that is about 15 years old, although it's not perfect, it didn't start out perfect, I'd still urge everyone to collaborate, and it's an excellent opportunity to shape the future of Bradley County and positively foster growth in a planned manner. If you guys have any questions, I'm not the smartest person in this room, but I'd be happy to answer to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Is there anyone else? Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Down here. My name is Charlotte Peak. I'm with Case Construction and Developments here in Cleveland. I just wanted to reiterate a few things that Mr. Blake Allison said so eloquently. Annexation is not forced anymore. So if you guys still think that, which somebody asked me a question last week about it, and said if they open up the urban growth boundary even more, that it would allow the city to annex people. It doesn't allow them to because there's no forced annexation. Only if the taxpayer requests annexation. So nothing is forced. I just wanted to set that record straight again. And like everyone has said, right now that person can request. Farmers are still going to sell their property. Epperson's just bought some more farmers' land. You can't stop farmers for selling that property and asking to be annexed into the city. The problem is that, like this gentleman just said a few minutes ago, you get them selling that property and then the developer wants to annex into the city. There's no sewer there yet, or it's on the boundary of the sewer, or the road is about to connect to the county, but it doesn't yet, and so you've got all these voids of fire and different services. With the urban growth boundary, there would be, if it's increased, which it should be because it's outdated, and we have growth coming to Cleveland, whether you like it or not. We have the growth, and we have farmers still going to sell their land. So they have to expand somewhere, and those developments are going to have sewer. They're going to have all kinds of other services. But the county still benefits. That's what I don't understand what the problem is. Be responsible. You're getting the growth in Bradley County. So go ahead and compromise now and see what the city is offering or wants the growth boundary to become, and not let the state do it, because I'm afraid you guys are going to see that the state is going to give them more than what they're requesting based off of how many people are coming to Cleveland, how much industry is coming to Cleveland, and how many roofs that we need. So if you leave it up to the state, you guys might not like what the state comes back with. Why not have the ball in your court and reach out to the city and put the city stuff behind you? If you're still mad about or don't like the city, just be responsible about it. Hear them out, go to the table, and let's start updating our urban growth plan. If you don't think growth is coming, then you got your head stuck in the sand somewhere. It's gonna continue to grow. Cleveland is one of the top 10 in the state. People want to come here, and our industry is coming here. If people are following the industry, we got to have the roofs, like I've said 100 times. But you also need to expand that urban growth boundary. You still benefit. You still get your same taxes. And if it is expanded and it is annexed with the request from your constituents, and they request for it to be annexed, and all these farms start becoming developments, whether you like it or not, they're going to, even if they have to do bigger lots and do septic, you're going to get that. So go ahead, be responsible, reach out to the city. Let's get this, and the Charleston, and get this urban growth boundary locked in. Don't let the state do it. You guys need to have control of it. At least let the ball be in your court so you can decide. And I'm sure you all can come to a compromise because everybody's adults. So I know you can. I don't want to see the state do it. I'd rather see you guys do it. And that's all I have. I just want to say, be responsible. Get that urban growth plan done. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson?
I might have my head in the sand, but I'm not that dumb. I put up this city for 30 years. And you can say what you want to. If they do what they supposed to do, well, that'd be okay. But they annex a place out here, and then they won't take in the road. I can show you some places. And I've asked them, I said, won't you take in half of the road anyway? If it needs paved, you can help us pave it. But, listen, that's like talking, I think they got their head in the sand. And you know how I feel about annexation. And I like growth too, and that's okay if these farmers want to sell the property, that's fine. But the city needs to do right too. They need to, when they take something in, they need to take it all in. They need to do the roads too. But they don't, and they've always been like that, and I don't know if they'll ever change or not. But anyway, I don't like annexation, and I never will. I don't like metropolitan there. I like Bradley County.
Yes, please.
You sure can.
So your your constituents are the ones requesting the annexation. The city's not forcing it. But whenever they come to the planning commission and they ask for that annexation to be approved by you guys, it also comes with the road and the services plan. You guys could stop it there if you don't agree to that road not being taken in or to be taken in, and the services. It's a plan of service that comes with that requested annexation from your constituents. So the city's not forcing it, and if you want them to do something, that's when y'all need to make them do it. But yeah, I just think y'all need to work with the city on this, and then if you can't come to agreement, then you let the state do it. But at least let them come to the table. Y'all hear them out. You tell them what you want. And then if you want less, just imagine that state will most likely do triple whatever they're requesting just because they don't want to come back and do it. And I don't know if they'll market. Do you think they're going to market another 20-year growth plan? Or are they going to put a stipulation on it again, or just call it urban growth? So the statute says 20 years. So if they redo it, that'll be set in stone for 20 years. So if you don't want what I think the state's going to do, then I would come back to the city and Charleston, sit down, just see what they're proposing. I mean, what can it hurt just to see what they're proposing? And then, Howard, you can tell them your grievances again and tell them, I want you to start doing this and I want you to start doing that. Just see what happens before you draw a line in the sand and vote no, or I guess you would vote yes to leave the urban growth boundary as it is. Don't vote yes to leave it as is. At least don't draw that line in the sand right now. Hear them out, see what it's going to be, and then draw your line in the sand and let the state do it if you can't all compromise. But at least hear them out. That's all I got, Mr. Conlon.
What's wrong with the 20-year growth plan we passed? It's the 20 years are not up yet. What's the problem?
It's outdated, just outdated.
The land
You can
hadn't
leave it
changed.
for 5 more years.
We didn't add no land. The good Lord didn't add us more land. We got the same thing.
But your growth is more exponential. I can't even say the word. It's greater than what was anticipated 20 years ago. Now you've probably outgrown that so much, and that's what the state will base their numbers on, is what your projected growth is going to be, and then they're going to see how far the city has gone as of now. So that's all I know. Thank you, guys.
Commissioner Gilbert, please.
So the number one thing you're saying, the reason we should vote for this is because Cleveland Utilities can bring their utilities out through the county, right?
I don't know that they will,
sewer.
because they've got 8 years to do that, and some of those developments they're saying no to. So I don't think they have the
So
capacity.
why don't we just leave it like it is and just take Ocoee Utility and see if we can't push them?
Well, Ocoee Utilities is a great option too for sewer development in the areas that they can go to. And I know they're expanding out Spring Place and the county areas that are out there. But I don't know what their capacity is either, or where they're thinking about going next.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anyone? Commissioner Redford.
Hey, Charlotte, I have a question. So what you're saying, what I'm hearing is whether or not we vote yes or no, the state is going to propose, and they're going to say it in stone, whatever they say it. And that's what we have to abide by. So, and I get what you're saying. You're saying to give them the chance to, to talk about it, for us to get with the city and the county. Because if we don't, we're going to be stuck with whatever the state says anyway.
If you vote to leave it as is right now, the state will take over.
And you think they definitely will change things?
Yes, they'll change it based off the growth that we've already had and are projected to see.
We won't have any say whatsoever.
Correct. After the state makes a decision, that's it for the next 20 years, after they update it. If you vote to at least, if you vote no, you do not want to leave the urban growth boundary as is, then you'll go and hear what the city and Charleston have proposed or are proposing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't agree with that, then it'll go back to the state.
Okay, thank you.
So we've already done that. That's what that map is. That map shows what the city wants. So we've been through that process.
Okay.
So this is the second step. We know what Charleston wants on that map, and we know what the city wants on that map. That step's already been done.
Okay, so if y'all don't agree to that, then I guess you're where you are and the state will take over. I don't get the newspaper anymore, and so.
Can you come to the mic, Bentley? Because I want some clarification on that too. So if we vote to approve or not approve this, but if we vote to approve this, this will go back to the coordinating committee.
Yes.
Correct.
The coordinating committee will take our map, Cleveland map, Charleston map, and come up with their own map.
Yes.
And then send it back to the county, the city, and Charleston. And then at that point, if we vote no on it, then that would go to the state.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, whatever the coordinating committee comes back with that isn't this map, one would assume, which I hate to assume, but if the coordinating committee doesn't come back with no changes, then it would assume that probably wouldn't pass this here. And I don't want to assume, but if it's no changes. So what we're just saying is that and I believe, if I'm not wrong, that this commission requested our county mayor to start this action. Is that not correct? The city requested it? The city requested it, is that correct?
Yes.
To be able to do this. Okay. I just want to make sure, because there's some misconceptions out there that we've started this, the city Charleston, whoever it is. So this whatever we vote on today will go back to the planning coordinating committee. Then it will come back to us, and if we vote that down, then it goes to the state, and then the state will decide it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
No. It goes back to the committee.
Yeah, the only thing you left out is the voting twice.
Anything else, Ben?
I don't have anything.
Dennis, you want to speak?
Thank you, Commission. I'll be quick. I know we've already spoke on this issue. The other two have, Charlotte and Blake has. I think there's two different issues here. We've got a urban growth plan, and then we've got annexation. And I know a few of y'all are passionate about annexation, but actually there are two different things here. Basically, this is a plan that will take us into the future. I plan on retiring in about 2 years, but I worry about the younger ones, the younger developers and the builders. Help us do our job, or help them do their job for the next 20 years. And basically, what we do is provide a service for people that want to enjoy the American dream, to have homes. And we all know the growth. I mean, we know what the growth is here in Bradley County and Cleveland. So basically, help us do our job. And planning is this growth plan basically gives direction to your planning commission, the county and the city, basically making the decisions on what they'll do in the future, and where y'all have all agreed. The city, the county, and Charleston has agreed where they think growth should occur for the next 20 years. And help us continue to help build the tax base revenue. Ask your mayor what the housing brings to the tax base revenue. So it's in all our power to be able to. I mean, it's in our best interest for the county, the city, the Charleston, to create this plan to keep tax base revenues being generated. Ask your mayor what it does to be able to give raises to the firemen and raises to the police officers, the extra tax base revenue that comes in. So it's an important decision here. So that's all I have to say. Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Commissioner Winters, please.
Bentley, can I speak to you, Bentley? Yeah. So if we say no to this, this goes back to the general committee. And I think there's problems with the map. I think the reality is how much the city has requested here. Maybe we don't want to go that far. Maybe we want to go less than that. That's where this debate would be, correct? So if we say no at this point, it goes back to that committee. They can bring that back from there, for us to look at it another time before it goes to state, correct?
Yes, y'all will see it when it comes back from the coordinating committee and have to,
Right. And we're working on a timeline of February something, right?
we have till April
Oh, April.
27th.
Okay, we got time. So a no vote here still opens it up for this type of dialogue. I think it's what committee.
I don't understand, a no vote?
Yes. Well, a yes vote for this. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got you. Yeah, a yes vote. Yeah, yes vote. So we say yes on this, then it goes back to that committee.
Yeah.
So I've sat in on
Make your
some.
map,
Yeah,
the city's proposal and Charleston's proposal, and try to come to some sort of
right.
agreement, and then send it back to you.
I think some of us set out there as this general committee was meeting. Looks like they just needed some direction of where we would be going, the city would be going a little more. And this is what that does. So it doesn't close out the whole situation on us saying a yes vote here. It says that that map is not appropriate at this point. Let's go back and look with the committee that we put together. Correct?
I think so.
Thanks.
I think the city sent this map, and it's a 50-year growth plan and not a 20-year growth plan presented by the city. So for one to think that we don't have issues with it, we're out in left field here. So and I think we'll have it ironed out when we get through with it. So
But we're not voting on the map that the city sent over. We're voting on the ad hoc committee map that this is the county's map. So we own this map that we are sending to this coordinating committee. This is our map, not the city's map. And our map that we're telling the coordinating committee is that we want no changes to the growth plan. Is that correct? So we as a county commissioner are saying we want 0 changes to the growth plan that the city uses, the county uses, and Charleston uses. This isn't the city map. They've already sent theirs in, put theirs in. We've seen it. We saw what it is. We're saying as the 14 of us that we don't want to change the growth plan at all for the next 20 years. That we're 15 years or whatever it is, 16 year into this growth plan. And do what? That's not right. That we're not 15 years into the current growth plan, and we're saying for the next 20 years we want to have the same growth plan that we had 15 years ago. That's exactly what we're saying as a county. When
What
we
it
send it
seems
to
like to me that we're saying is we have a growth plan right here, and they sent us one, and we're not agreeing with the one we want. We'd rather keep the one that we have.
But yet for the past 2 years,
So
every
they're
time the planning commission comes and brings something to us to either annex in or change a code, whatever it is, or look to see if it's close enough, we say, well, this growth plan and this and that, all these need to be updated, and we need to look at these. And it's not just the growth plan, but it's all the other plans that we have out there too. We've talked about this many times on this commission, that things need to be updated because we've had so many changes for the past 15 years, and that this community has grown so much because of all the industry and all the businesses that have come in here. And so we've set this in motion for this to happen, and we're just sitting here saying, no, we don't. We like the growth plan as it is. And I am concerned that if we continue on this track that we say there's no changes, then they come back with whatever this coordinating committee has, and they come back and we say no to that, and it goes back and they change it again. We say no to that. Then it goes to the state, and the state's going to do whatever they want. And then we just have to accept that. Is that correct? So if we continue down this path of resistance saying we want no changes, and the city doesn't agree with that, and Charleston doesn't agree with that, then the state's going to come in here and say, here's what it is, and this is your cake, and this is what you've got for the next 20 years. Or we could work together and figure out some form of fashion of working with the city and with Charleston to say, maybe we don't do what they want, but maybe we grow a little bit, or change this a little, or grow in this area, or whatever it might be. But for us to just sit here and say, let's just leave it as is and not do anything, I don't think that's being good partners.
You know, I think we're basically in a need to get back with the city and take a look at this together. And this is what this is attempting to do. Maybe the wording isn't exactly what you like, but it's saying at this point in time, We want to go back to this coordinating committee to talk with the city people. If we're at this point, what are they with in theirs? Where do we come back to a middle ground? And maybe at that point, there's a middle ground we come back to. If not, maybe we hold on to what we got. But at this point, it just gives, am I correct, Madam Chair? You're chairing the coordinating.
It goes back to the committee regardless.
Yeah. Okay. So if it goes back with this, and you all have an opportunity to look at it with the city at one more, correct?
Commissioner, Mr. Epperson.
I'll be real quick. I just wanted to point out too, and I know that the county and Charleston and the city of Cleveland is going to make this decision on how the development community proceeds for the next 20 years. But we would appreciate being asked to come to the table, the stakeholders, because this is going to affect the development community for the next 20-something years. We've not ever been asked to come to put our input into what the development world believes that would be necessary to continue to be able to provide what we do, provide homes for people. We've never even been asked to even participate or even give any input. So to go ahead and to make a decision like to vote on this at this particular time, I think we need more time. Thank you.
Sir. Mr. Marlowe.
No, go ahead. Okay, so a couple of things there. Firstly, is there anything changing out of this committee, or if it goes to the state, that causes this commission to be restricted on their vote for any rezoning proposal? An example is if I own a piece of land that's FAR and I want to change it to R2 or anything else, and it's not within the 20-year growth plan, I can still come to you and it can be voted and approved, my understanding. So if that's not correct, let me know. And so if it goes back to the committee, there's a couple of votes, whether they agree on something or not, whether it goes to the state or not, we're going to end up with a new growth plan because the city initiated this process. At the end of all of that, my question is, does it lock us into following it, or does the county commission still have the ability to deny zoning or approve zonings that are not within that 20-year growth plan that they put forward? Also, I want to say that I have watched via YouTube every growth meeting and taken in all of the discussions. I appreciate it being publicly available all the time for anybody to come here and speak about it. So thank y'all for having that available. I sit down and listen to the response. I'm just curious, no matter what the end result is, no matter which map we vote on, if it's approved by the committee, if it's approved by the state, are we locked in or restricted to being required to approve things either, only that follow this new growth plan, or could you all approve rezonings that are outside of that 20 plan?
Commissioner Gill.
Ms. Slater. So the city sent us a map, right?
Bentley probably needs to answer your question.
Bentley, can you answer this, please? The city sent us a map, and this is what they wanted for us to approve, right?
No, they sent their map to the coordinate committee that they approved.
To our ad hoc committee, right?
No. I had that map at the ad hoc committee, but they didn't send it to the ad hoc committee.
So the map that we've been looking at, the one that goes all the way to Charleston, city's the one that sent it, right?
Yes.
All right, and this is the map that we had.
Yes.
And this is the map that we go off of.
Yes.
So if it goes back to the our ad hoc committee, and they get with the city, then they discuss more of what, we're not willing to do this, we want to do this, right?
Well, that's what the coordinate committee's there for.
Okay. So the ad hoc committee and the coordinate committee is two different things?
Yes.
Okay. Got you.
Mr. Chairman. Hey Bentley, I have a question for you. So I'm walking back over the trail again, all back over it again. This map right here, laying on this table, was made 15 years ago, correct? How many?
2010.
So how long has this map been around? How long has we as a commission? What is it? So we've been looking at that same map. This commission's been looking at that same map for 24 years.
Yeah.
And this committee has recommended leaving it the same.
Yes.
For 20 more years. So that would be 44 years of the original map, of this map right here. 44 years, is that correct, or am I incorrect?
Can't do math. Very good.
Don't sound like we're thinking into the future. It sounds like to me.
Well, of
Okay.
the current urban growth boundary, I had Wayne run an analysis. There's 21% of it's been annexed since 2010.
That's
Okay.
got 80% left.
Okay. Thank you, Bentley.
Yes. Blake?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Crystal, real quick, what they did in 2010 or 2011 was they amended the plan at that time because the Spring Branch was on play and I believe another piece of property. So,
That's correct.
sorry? Yeah, the city annexed, basically exit 20 all the way down. Well, where Spring Branch is now, and there was another piece to it as well, if I remember.
That's correct. Yes, it was, they amended.
So that was an amendment to the plan from
2000.
So at any point in time, the city or the county or the city of Charleston, after this is all said and done, whenever it's said and done, can come together and amend the plan, quote unquote, as needed.
Yes, but you do.
I mean,
have
I
to
understand it's a
follow
process.
this process.
It's a
every
process,
time.
and it's
Yes.
ordained. I mean, but let's say in 2029 or 2032, whatever, there's the IDB board comes and says it would be in everybody's best interest to amend the growth plan. We can do that, right? So
Yes.
so the thing that is set in stone for 20 more years and there's nothing that can be done is an inaccurate statement.
Yes. And I also wanted to point out procedurally, just so you all understand what your obligations are and what you need to do, where we are in the process. The county needs to give their proposal, and that's what
We're doing today.
you're voting on. You have to give a proposal back to the coordinating committee. So what it doesn't, I'm not telling you what that proposal has to be, but there does have to be a proposal that is the county's proposal, because what the committee's job then is to take the city's proposal, the county's proposal, and Charleston's proposal, and then work from there. So what you are doing is submitting your proposed plan to the committee. That's what the ad hoc committee was charged with doing. So just to clarify what it is that you're voting on and what you're doing today, it's the county's proposal that goes to that committee.
So this coordinating committee that's chaired by Mr. Molinax and all the members over there are going to have to take the map that the county is getting ready to send, should it pass, the map that the city of Cleveland has already presented, and the map that the city of Charleston has presented, and reconcile all that before and then come up with a formal recommendation to all three legislative bodies.
Yes, and then that recommendation then will come back to you all for vote twice, again, if we can't get there the first time. So yes.
The other question I have real quick is, we were talking about, and it's the planning commission, the county planning commission doesn't make formal recommendations on annexation, correct?
No, and that's I did want to address what Mr. Marlowe was talking about. This urban growth boundary does not affect the zoning. That will be that is affected by a different document, which is the growth plan. And to answer his question, you are not obligated to follow that exactly. It is supposed to be a plan or a guide that you used when you're doing zoning, but that's not this document.
But when a landowner requests annexation to the city of Cleveland or Charleston, and that's approved, it then becomes the responsibility or the jurisdiction, how's that, of that governing body to approve or disapprove a rezoning request. In other words, once something is annexed, the county doesn't have a rezoning jurisdiction any longer.
That's correct, yeah. Once it's annexed into the city, county zoning is irrelevant. It would be up to the city zoning.
Thank you,
at
Mr.
that
Chairman, that's all I have.
Commissioner Goins.
Do this, I mean, when does the state show up and allegedly do, force it or whatever? I mean, when will that, if this don't pass, when does the state do their own thing?
That's the last resort. So once this entire process that we have talked about plays out, they only come in if the three municipalities, city, county, and Charleston, are unable, after we go through this process fully 2 times, if we are unable to reach a resolution that all 3 bodies approve, that's the point where they come in. So I can't give you a date on that, but all this whole process.
But
will
I
have
mean,
to play
after
out.
all this,
Yes.
but shouldn't they do that after the growth plan expires? The current one's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Now that this process has started, they will come in if we are unable to agree on.
But it's not expired though on we're right in the middle of it. That's what I don't understand right there.
Because the process has now been opened.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Been served.
Mr. Hughes.
In my judgment, this is the first stage of making a compromise. Basically, we're telling the city, or this is the way I look at it, I may be totally wrong. We're telling the city we really don't want any changes because we don't see the justification for it. However, the city is wanting a huge amount of area for this urban growth area. That is the stage where we go back to the table and start working towards a compromise. This is the first step only. The other portion, Mr. Marlowe, you asked a question about the city annexing outside of the growth boundaries. The city has already annexed property outside of the growth boundaries, which is an island if it's outside of there. However, what the difference is if it's outside the growth boundaries, the property owner themselves, it has to be put on ballot and they have to vote whether they want to accept it or not. If the property is wanting it or they're requesting it, the property owner is going to vote in favor of it. You can look at these boundaries however you want to, but there's still, even if we go with everything the city's going, if a developer or somebody wants to come in and buy a ton of property outside of that growth area, all it has to do is go on ballot. That's all I have. Yes, please.
That really wasn't my question.
Oh, sorry about that.
Since it's misunderstood, I want to be very clear. Circle Drive off of South Lee Highway is a county property that's 100% surrounded by the city back when there was forced annexation. And they could selectively choose the areas that they annexed, and they did analysis on those as a cost-benefit ratio to figure out if it was beneficial for the city to take them in, and they would often choose not to. So we have remnants of the old forced annexation days that are so completely surrounded by the city of Cleveland that are, I guess, ponds in the city limits that have no city services. I don't know if this is the proper committee or anything, but if we ever see an opportunity to shore that up and city to incentivize those property owners somehow to have the city limits truly be, when you drive past the city limit sign on any street coming out of the county into the city, you can very easily turn on a road and go back outside the city limits without notice, without any signage, and not even realize you're not going to get a city response to that location. You'll receive county response. An example being that East Cleveland area that's totally surrounded by the city, Ocoee Village Apartments. Those county deputy sheriffs might be patrolling county roads, say Upper River Road, where I live, and get a call for service for them and their partner to respond into town through the city limits to a county address. And then they have to travel back across the city limits to get back out to the county area that they normally patrol. I don't know that this will solve it. I just, while we're thinking about this, And while we're talking with the city and while we'll have them in a room with us, that's something to consider too. So that was my.
Commissioner Goins.
Who opened this up? What was the deal on that? How did this come about?
This commission had asked to update the plans, and then the city made a formal request, so that's when we created the coordinating committee once again.
Mr. Thompson.
I guess really what chaps my tail is Lowry Street and that little circle over there has never been taken in. They've annexed, and they got a circle over there. See, they want to do what they want to do. That's what I'm telling you. And they go over there, and there's Lowry Street and all them streets over there that's not taken into the city because they say I guess there's no taxes there or whatever. But anyway, that's what gripes me. And you can say what you want to, but they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Anyone else that would like to speak for or against? Yes, please.
And Mr. Marlowe, I'm going to answer your question for you. A lot of these islands are created because the property owner has to request. The city can no longer just go in and annex property. And I think that was a building association that was behind some of that. So it's a property owner itself has to request it. As long as that's able, they're not going to be able to just come in and annex entire areas. It'll still have to go back to the property owner. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. The public hearing is now closed, and back to Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a motion to approve the Growth Policy Coordinating Act Ad Hoc Committee recommendation to leave the urban growth boundary as it is, and I place that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second on Commissioner Goins. Open for discussion. There being no discussion, call the roll, please.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
I guess so.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers,
No.
Winters,
Yes.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Alford,
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? 13 in favor and 1 opposed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I didn't want to say anything before you voted. Now, most of you have been right in this. You have what you want to do, or at least what you're recommending to the ad hoc committee. The city has formally approved what they sent you was sent, so that's what they want to do, and Charleston's done the same thing. If you're on the coordinating committee, I encourage you to stay open-minded, because the big thing that has been said is we need to come to an agreement. Now, we come to an agreement in 2000, we came to an agreement in 2010. We can come to an agreement in 2025. My favorite word that makes a lot of people mad is compromise. They've got their plan to go to the river. You've got your plan to stay where you're at. Come back with a compromise because, like was said, we do not want the state doing it for us. We need a compromise plan that the city will agree to, that you all will agree to, and that Charleston will agree to. That's the ultimate decision we're looking for. And what was done today is fine because now you both have an official plan. But work on compromising that plan, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have a comment? Now we'll go to communication from the audience. I will recognize and allow 5 minutes to anyone who wants to speak. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Yes, please.
So I didn't know all that other stuff was on the agenda, but I was here today to let you know, sorry, and all the times I spoke. My name's Daniel Marlowe. I live at 1930 Up River Road, Charleston, Tennessee. I attended the, well, let me back up. First, Valentine's Day is coming up, and Mr. Mayor and I have talked about it, and several other community members remember the days of the American Legion having a steak dinner night. So Valentine's Day, we're going to do a pilot run. It's a formal dinner catered by the chef from the Elks Lodge. We're having a prime rib dinner at the American Legion Post 81, 227 James Asbury Drive. Valentine's Day at 6 p.m. We'll be open till midnight. It's $70 per couple for a prime rib dinner, including wait staff, the whole works. It's going to be a really nice event. If anybody has no plans for Valentine's Day, all proceeds, all net profit will go to support the American Legion Post. And we would love to see y'all come out and interact with some of our veterans if you don't have. So that's, if this goes well, we hope to bring back at the beginning at least quarterly steak dinner nights, and work towards maybe even monthly steak dinner night. On to the next topic. I attended the Tennessee State Veterans Homes Executive Committee meeting today by Zoom. The director had announced that there are currently 66 people on the waiting list for the Cleveland, Tennessee State Veterans Home with 0 viable applicants. So they have no one that qualifies to go into our Tennessee State Veterans Home on their waiting list as of today, announced at the Executive Committee Board meeting. They have $2 million in reserve. They have a roughly $6 million average income monthly. November, they had a $7 million budget for operating, so they lost some money here and there, but they did point out overall, prior to the pandemic, they had consistently a monthly net profit. They are currently 66% occupied at the Tennessee State Veterans Home here in Cleveland, which is 71 people out of 108 and 0 qualified candidates on any waiting list. I'm just concerned with that, so if you know anybody who may qualify for placement within that facility, encourage them to get on the list. Because despite it being 66 deep, they may be on that list waiting for future needs, that they aren't actually in a position to need that nursing home care, so they don't get admitted yet. So it's not necessarily there's 66 people that they're denying, they just don't meet the physical need of being in a nursing home yet. So we need to get anybody that we know of who does have that need to go ahead and get on the list, because they'll effectively move to number 1. So if you know anybody in that with that need, encourage them to reach out to the Tennessee State Veterans Homes. They are applying for a $600 million construction grant through the Veterans Affairs Administration to construct outpatient healthcare facilities, home health care programs, and an actual assisted living facility. So when throughout the community, I've heard that our Tennessee State Veterans Home in Cleveland functions as an assisted living facility. That's not, to me as a voter, that's not accurate, because they're asking for money from the federal government to build an assisted living facility, branch off. So currently, and one of their executive board members, we've always heard about staffing since the Tennessee State Veterans Home came to Bradley County. And it was announced today in that public meeting that when they open a new facility, which is most recently in Arlington, Tennessee, they opened that facility, and in order to open it, they took 50% of staff employed at a currently functioning state veterans home and moved them to the new home. So 2 facilities now have 50% staff with no experience and have to be trained. I don't know the name, they didn't say their names, but one of the executive board members spoke up and said, hey, we have 4 functioning state veterans homes. Why don't we pull 25% from each when we open another and only have to backfill 25% in each geographic location within the state? I thought that was a great idea if we know anybody that can encourage them. Thank you for your time.
Commissioner Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to add this, wanted this information before I spoke anything. We talked about the voucher bill, and first of all, I'm super excited that for the second time this board has recommended to send a letter denouncing that. I believe the Bradley County Board of Education has done that twice as well. I believe the Cleveland City Board of Education, the Cleveland City Council, all have spoke out against the voucher bill. The bills themselves are public. Matter of fact, they're the first bills that were spoken of, HB 1 and SB 1, so those are available on the General Assembly website if you want to see those. They've been out for a while. And I want to say this, I think the value of passing this today, again, for the second time, is imperative because the governor has called a special session. That session will begin next Monday. It includes the voucher bill and will be concluded most likely next Thursday. So the governor's going to rush this through without the typical conversations, debate, and discussion, and he's going to put a lot of pressure on lawmakers to get this done. So I'm thankful that we passed this today, and again, I'm thankful that we've done this again for the second time. I would encourage those listening, research the bill, reach out to your local representatives, Representative Raper, Howe, Hatcher, and Lowe. Let them know what you think about this entitlement program. I don't think it's anything that's good for our county and for our state in general. I just wanted to share that information. We talked about the bill being public, HB 1 and SB 1. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The next meeting will be the voting session Monday, January the 27th at 7 p.m. Bradley County Courthouse here. Upcoming events, Bradley County Schools Road Show tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I don't know how valid that is because schools are closed tomorrow. I'm sorry? January the 29th, that's great. Okay, Main Street, Cleveland.